Hey, I promised you some brows. So brows is what we're doing. So welcome. Make sure you say hi when you're here. I'm just going to jump right in because I want this to be quick and easy because brows can be incredibly detailed or they can be like simple. They can be simple and still be effective and still be beautiful. So we all know, or most of us know or have heard, your eyes are the window to your soul. Your brows are like the curtains to your eyes. The shape of your brow, the dimension of your brow, the color of your brow, the drama or the minimalism to your brow, it all affects the overall look and appearance, the finished look of your face. So you want your brows to be on point. That does not mean that your brows have to look like anybody else's. Your brows can be thicker, they can be thinner, they can be darker, they can be lighter, they can have hair strokes, they can be whatever you want them to be. It's up to you. Whatever you like, that's correct. So do what you want. However, I am going to show you some tips and tricks for what is currently trending, if that's what you want to follow. Brows can be incredibly easy. Like I said, they can be very, very technical. You can go to a brow specialist, you can go to a brow artist, you can go to somebody who does microblading, soft tap, whatever. You can go to somebody who's going to tint them or color them or just to shape them, whatever you want to do. I highly, highly recommend you go to somebody, a professional who you have researched and you know their work, not somebody who just finished some kind of training and you're their guinea pig. I would not recommend that, especially if you are going to them for a temporary or a semi-permanent tattoo on your face. You want somebody who knows their stuff, so make sure you're doing your research there. However, that's not within everybody's means, whether it's because of money or time or resources available to you. Not everybody can do that. So I'm going to dive in and tell you kind of some of the very, very basic, very, very simple. Again, you can get incredibly detailed if you want to, but I'm going to tell you some very, very basic tips and tricks to make sure your brows accent and complement your face however you want them to do, whatever that means for you in whatever way that means for you. Thank you. Okay, so my brows, I don't have anything on my brows. This is just my natural brow with microblading. I started microblading my brows several years ago. I get them touched up every single year, and I love it because for me, it gives me an outline or a guide that I can just fill in. Microblading is not permanent and it's not going to stay forever and it's not going to stay the same color forever. Over time, it will fade on everybody. It will fade. The degree that it fades over time is different for everyone also. So it's completely between you and your brow artist how often you need to or want to go get a touch-up. For me, it works out to be about every year or so. And I go to the very, very, very best brow artist in the entire world. Her name is Heather. Her Instagram is beauty_hawk, BEAUTY_HAWK. If you are in Northern Utah and you're looking for a brow girl, she's your girl. Give her a call and make sure you tell her that I sent you because you will love her. For my microblading, she shaped my brows according to what I want. She's very intuitive as far as face shape, as far as dimension, as far as artistic goes. She's very, very intuitive. But a good brow girl, just like Heather, will ask you your opinion, what you want, and she will kind of find a really good mix and meld between the two. So my natural brows, I am 40 years old, grew up in the 90s, and I got sucked into the pluck, over plucking, and now my brows are paying for it, which is why I microblade. I don't have very, very much of my own natural brow hair available to me. So she's microbladed and filled in and created some shape. However, because I have some scar tissue in my brows, you can see that I have very, very thinning brow right up here. You can see the line of the microblading and how much it's faded, and you can see that I have this teeny tiny, very, very narrow, itsy bitsy little line of brow hair available to me that I will brush up till the day that I die because I have such little brow hair. But even though I brush it up, it still doesn't fill it in all the way. Plus, I like, my own personal preference is I like a deeper, darker, more dramatic brow than what is my natural brow or hair color. I'm naturally a blonde, even though I'm pink. I'm naturally a blonde, and so my brow color is a little bit lighter. But I like some dramatic depth to my brows and dramatic depth to my eyes, most especially on my lashes. So that's just my preference. You can do whatever you want. That's going to come about by whatever color you decide to use. And there are so many options available to you. If you are a mascara girl, if you love mascara like I do, any one of our contours that matches your natural brow color, contours are a cream, they're a cream makeup, they're a cream consistency, and they will adhere to skin if you have very, very fine, thin brow hairs like I do, or you can use any one of our browns. We have so many browns. I don't have the browns in this compact, but we have so many brown powders, powder eyeshadows to choose from that you can also use to fill in your brows if you have the hairs for them to attach to. If you don't have the hairs, then you want to make sure that you're using a cream or a pomade or a dip or something like that. If you do have hairs, then you can get away with using the powders. But like I said, because I have very, very little hair, because I overplucked too much, I use a cream. I really like it. My favorite product for my brows currently is actually the Tori Bell Brow Works system. It comes with, I don't have my brush sitting right here, that whole entire brow system. It comes in a box that looks just like this. And I'll open up and show you what comes in it. It comes with your choice, your color of brow gel. It comes with an angled brow brush that goes right in here that I don't have. And it also comes with these stencils. There are 3 different shaped stencils in here that you can choose from, whichever one matches to you. These, I know that they sound silly. Like, I was super, super hesitant when I first saw these. I was like, what? Who's going to do this? Your brow is going to look ridiculous. If you have a brow that goes from here, look at how much that doesn't match up with my brow. I'm gonna like have the most ridiculous highest arch, but guess what? That's not how you're supposed to use this. This is meant to be used over and over and over again. It's an incredibly sturdy but flexible material. It wipes right off, so when you get makeup on it, which you're going to, you can wipe it right off. It can stay really clean, but it's meant to be placed and shaped on your brow like this. You go up to the arch and then you turn it and you match it to where you want your brow shape. So you don't just hold it there and paint the whole thing, fill the whole thing on. Instead, you adjust it. There are 3 different ones to choose from, and they actually, I know it sounds weird to say, but they actually are phenomenal if you don't already have your brow shape. This is a Tori Bell product. Send me a message if you want this product or if you need help choosing whichever color is going to be best for you. Okay, so I just got this new color in Tori Bell in my Brow Works. I've been using the dark brown because I like a really, really deep, deep dark brown. However, it's really, really dark. So I'm going to use a color that I just purchased. It's just regular brown, and you can see that it's actually quite a bit warmer. Let me open the lid so you can see the two. It's quite a bit warmer, quite a bit lighter than what I've been using. This is what I've been using. This is what I'm now going to. It's pretty warm. However, I'm going to use a second product that's going to cool it down and add some individual hair strokes that actually makes it a little bit more natural. So first thing you want to do when you are shaping your own brows, like I said, if you have the means, if you have the ability, if you have the resources available, go find a brow artist, somebody that can help you shape your brows. It's much, much easier for somebody to be looking and doing the measurements for you that you can copy over and over and over again every single day, rather than reinventing your own and doing it on yourself and looking in the mirror and trying to measure it on your own. It's much easier if you go to somebody who knows what they're doing. However, if that's not an option for you, if you will follow some very, very basic, very, very simple tips and tricks, you will have amazing, phenomenal, crazy good brows, way more so than you ever would have thought possible, and way easier than you ever would have thought possible. So you want to grab some kind of tool, whether it's like a narrow brush like this, an eyeshadow brush, a pencil, whatever you want it to be. Just grab whatever tool you want to use. You want it to be as narrow as possible. I mean, you don't want it to be as skinny as like a toothpick, but like a regular old number 2 pencil will work just fine. Okay, first thing you want to measure is where your brow is going to start. This is the other product that I'm going to use. I absolutely love this. I've tried so many different brow products, and there are many that I really, really like. The Tap Brow pencil that has little brow things on it, I like that one a lot too. This one is just easier for me to use. So there's multiple products that you can use for hair strokes. I'm going to use the 2 of these different products from 2 different companies, 2 different colors. I'm going to use the 2 of them together to get the most natural brow and brows that are going to stay all day long. This is a waterproof and smudge-proof product. It's not going anywhere. This one allows me, it has such a fine, fine tip on there. It allows me, I'll show you. Look at how skinny that line is. It allows me to get teeny tiny little natural hair strokes in my brows that make it look like an even more natural brow. But I'm gonna start with the measuring, and then we're gonna do the filling in, and then we're gonna add the final touches with the hair strokes. So with whatever tool you end up using, this is actually the brush that I'm going to use to fill in my brows. This is a mascara brush. It's called the Hotline brush. Look at how incredibly fine, thin, narrow, skinny that the tip of this brush is. It's freaking awesome. All mascara brushes are double-ended. This one is $22. You need it in your life. It's freaking amazing. Click the link in my profile, click Shop Mascara, then go to Brushes and Tools and scroll down until you find the Hotline brush. Double-ended brush, so it has the angled brush on the one end, that super fine tip on the one end. And then it has the angle so that you can kind of fill in really easily, and then that super fine tip so that you can create the hair strokes if you're using this product, or if you're using this brush with one product for everything. The other side is a spoolie brush, which is amazing and perfect to brush out your brows and your lashes and to get scratch mascara off. If you happen to get mascara on your eyelid, let your mascara dry, scrape it off. This is one of my very most favorite tools and tricks for that. So there's lots of things that you can use this brush for. I absolutely love it. This is also really good for creating your nose contour. If you're a nose contour girl, this is perfect for doing like little blemish touch-ups. You can also line your lips with this really easily and do your eyeliner. There's lots and lots of things to use this brush for. So number one, I'm gonna use this pen, my Glossier. This is the Brow Flick pen. Glossier has several products. This one is the Brow Flick. That's where you get that teeny tiny little ultimate super fine point. Take my measuring stick, and I'm gonna go from the center of my nostril, the middle of the hole, hold this straight up and down so that it's as straight up and down as can possibly be from my nostril straight up, and wherever that tip of my brush right there is, straight up and down from the center of my nostril, wherever that tip of that brush is, that's where I'm going to start the inner corner of my brow. So I'm going to draw a tiny little dot right there, because that's where we're going to start. Okay, so you can see that little dot right there. Now, next one is to do from the edge, the outer edge, that hook of your nose, not the hook of your nose, the outer edge of your nostril, and we're gonna go straight at an angle towards the corner of your eye, not out to where your eyeshadow or whatever, to the corner to where your top lid meets your bottom lid. That's where we're going from the outer hook. So you want to push this right up against your nostril. You don't want to like fold your nostril in, just let it rest right against there to the corner of your eye. That's where you want the tail of your brow to stop. Draw another dot right there. Okay, you can see how freaking amazing my brow artist is. She nailed both of those points right there. And then from that same spot here on the outer edge of your nose, straight through the color part or the iris of your eye, or straight through your pupil, either one, because your pupil is obviously in the center of your iris, straight through the color of your eye. You want to hold this right up against the edge of your nose, against that pupil. That's where you want your arch to be. So if I go from the edge of my nose straight through the iris or the pupil of my eye, I'm going to hold my pen or my brush straight up and down, and I'm going to draw another dot right there. Let me fill that in a tiny bit so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, and then your own natural brow is going to give you a guideline of how high up and down you're going to want this very front corner to start. So my natural brow starts right here, so I'm going to keep it in line with that dot right below it, and then straight across from it should be a straight line. So if your measuring stick tilts up, then you know that you're starting your brow way too high. So from this dot straight across, as straight a line as you can, those lines should match up. If they don't match up, then you want to adjust just slightly. Okay, so that's going to be those are the basic measurements of your brow. Super easy to do. It's not hard. Anybody can do it. Anybody can connect the dots. Then once you get to that point, all you have to do is connect the dots. It's super easy. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I don't have to measure because it's already there, but if you want to measure, go ahead and do so. And once you have like the shape, you don't have to do this. You don't have to draw the dots. I just am for the sake of this video, for showing you you know, what I'm doing on either side. Okay, so then I'm going to take my angled brow brush. The Hotline brush from Mascara is freaking amazing. You can use your contour color. You can use like any kind of brow dip, an Anastasia brow dip. You can use a brow pencil. You can use a brow whatever. There's so many different products to use. Whatever product you're using, the basic steps are pretty much the same. So with my angled brush here, I'm going to dip it into my pomade. Now this color, like I said, is just a little bit warm for my own personal preference. So I'm going to cool it down in just a little bit. So when I draw this on, don't panic, don't freak out. The line from this bottom dot to this dot, you want the bottom line of your brow to be a solid, straight as can be line. You don't want it to be wiggly. You don't want it to be jig-jaggy. You want it to be as straight as it possibly can from this dot to this dot and from this dot to this dot. So that's what I'm going to do. But because it's hard to do that on yourself, it's hard to do that in a phone, it's hard to do it in front of a mirror, the one trick that you can do is draw tiny, tiny little strokes from one dot to the next. Just do itsy bitsy little strokes and then connect them as you go. It makes that process so much easier, and it makes it so that you're mess up less, which is less time having to fill in your brows. Okay, so I made that line as straight as possible from this dot up to here and this dot up to here. Now I'm going to go from this dot on the bottom of my brow straight up. That's creating my arch. And again, I'm using my own natural brow to tell me how high I want that. Now, if you have thick, heavy brows, if your brows are really thick and you like that, then use that line. If you want it to be a little bit not as thick, and thick I mean like tall, like from the bottom of your brow to the top of your brow. If you want it to be less thick, if you want a thinner lined brow, then bring it down just a little bit. That's completely fine. It's 100% up to you, whatever you want to do. Mine are a little bit thin. I actually prefer them to be a little bit wider, so I kind of draw them just a tiny, tiny bit wider. This area right here from coming into your arch, so almost to my arch here, and then all the way to the tail, that area or that part of my brow, you want to be like the most filled, the most solid color. You want that to be all the way filled in. That's what's gonna, so a lot of times we look at somebody's brows and we think, oh my gosh, she has the most beautiful brows. They look amazing. A lot of times it's because from here, the tip of my fingernail, all the way to the tail is solid. It's full of color. There's no holes. There's no need for filling in. It's completely filled in. It's completely solid. It looks amazing. That has a lot to do with why. So this line, make it as straight as possible. Yep, Molly, that is a good trick. Make that line as straight as possible, and then take some liberties and play around with it. Try, whatever you like. As far as like the height of your brow goes, I have a very expressive face. Like that's why I have such deep wrinkles in my forehead, because I'm always like expressive. And so I like an arch. I like an arch because I have just a little bit of a hood in my eye. This is also something that your brow artist is going to consider, is your eye shape. However your eyelid is, if you have a little bit of a hood in your eye, I have a slight hood. It's not super severe. It's very, very slight. But the amount of space that you have between the top of your eyeshadow or the top of your eyelid up to your brow arch, the more space you have there, the more awake and alert it's going to make you. Obviously, because if you're like this, it's going to make you super alert, right? Well, it doesn't have to be that drastic in order to make you look more alert. So fill in as much as you possibly can that area right there. And again, I'm going to tell you again, this is a much warmer color than I'm used to. It's a much warmer color that I like, but the next color, darker, is just a little bit too dark for me. So I'm going to show you what I do as far as adding some detail in there. So fill that in to your preference down to the tip. Okay, just like that. All right, now as far as the top line goes, if you do the same thing that you did on the bottom, a straight line from this point to this point, if you do the same thing from this point right there to the top, and you have a solid straight line, you're gonna end up looking like your brow is painted on or drawn on or stamped on. You want it to look, or at least the trend, you can want it to look however you want. If that's the look that you like, by all means go for it. However, the trend is to have more natural, softer brow hairs here in the front in the beginning. And so if you're creating a solid line all the way from the very beginning straight across, you're not going to get that look. Instead, what you want to do is take that top line, so from that point to this point, you want to start somewhere in the middle, probably right about the middle, and start that line there. Okay, and then I take the angled part of my brow brush, and I drop it right on this line down here at the bottom, and I pull the pigment or the color up that I've already deposited there, and I just fill in just slightly, just like that, close to the front so that I can get rid of the sharp. I mean, you want it to be a sharp line, but you don't want it to look like a Sharpie was drawn across your face. You want it to be a sharp line, but you don't want it to look like it's a sharp line, okay? Does that make sense? I don't know how to say that. You want it to be a straight line, but you don't want it to look like a pencil line. That's probably a better way to say it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of soften that up without bringing it down. So it still stays sharp, but it doesn't look like it's drawn in. It just looks like my brow hairs are really, really full at the bottom, okay? Just like that. And then I'm going to turn, so I'm using my brush, I'm using it like this, flat against my face and pulling up. I'm going to turn it so that the tip is down, and I'm going to go from that tip or the point of my brow, the beginning of my brow, and I'm just going to draw some hair strokes straight up to fill it in just a little bit, okay? Just like that. I need just a little bit more product on my brush. There we go. And all I'm doing is drawing tiny, tiny little brow strokes, okay? So it looks like I have brow hairs. It looks really, really natural. Again, this color is just, I mean, you can see that it's kind of more of like an orangey brown rather than the dark, dark brown that I'm used to. And I don't know if it's just because I'm used to seeing the dark, dark brown that this feels so warm to me. I don't know. You can tell how warm that is. It's just a little too warm for me. So I'm going to take my darker pen. This is the color brown. This is not dark brown, but it's really close to the darker brown color in the Glossier brand. So all I'm going to do, shake my pen up just a little bit, and I'm going to mimic those tiny little hair strokes just with a tiny little flick of my wrist. And I'm going to try to do this so that my hand is not in your way so that you can see, but I have to look in a mirror to do it. I can't do it in a phone, sorry. So I'm going to take from that same point, and I'm going to draw tiny little hair strokes throughout my brow in the shape of the brow. So right here in the front, they're going to go straight up and down. As you kind of go along your brow, our natural hair in our brow, instead of being straight up and down, it kind of goes at an angle, an angle, an angle, until you get to the point, and then that angle starts to go down. So that's what I'm going to mimic when I'm filling in my brow. Just like this. Whoops. See how I got a little bit too carried away right there? Guess what? Super easy to wipe off. No problem. And fill it in. I have individual brow hairs. I have super, super fine, fine brow strokes, which makes it look more natural, more realistic. I have my brow shape exactly how I want it to be, so it measures straight up from the center of my nostril, straight out from the corner of my nose and the corner of my eye, and then straight out from the corner of my nose through my iris. It's filled in. I have the brow strokes. It looks amazing. It's my favorite. That was kind of a long process, and a lot of people are probably thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to go through that whole process every single day, not just for one eyebrow, but for two. I'm going to show you, if I'm not talking and if I'm not explaining, how freaking simple it actually is. I can fill in both of my brows all the way, fully, start to finish, in less than a minute. It actually is a really, really easy process. So even though that took just a minute and it was a lot of steps, it's so incredibly, I can't do it in the phone, it's so incredibly simple to do. So feel free to time me if you want to. All the way up, straight line down, fill in the tail, about the middle, just a tiny, tiny little bit more product, not much, just a little bit. This product that I'm using is Tori Bell Brow Works. This is the color brown. There's multiple colors. You can get taupe for blondes and redheads. You can get this brown color for a little bit darker, darker blonde or light brown hair color. You can get a dark brown for dark brown girls, or you can also get black if you have black hair and you want black brows. Take that bottom line with my brush and just pull up the pigment and fill it in. Super easy. Twist my brush so that the angled part is right against my face. Pull up teeny, teeny, tiny little brow strokes. You can see how much thinner the color is right here because I haven't added any color there. I've only pulled up the pigment. I made it super simple on myself so that I don't have to correct it later, except for I just touched that dot. I didn't mean to. I don't normally draw that dot, and so that's why it's throwing me off. I just did that for the sake of the video. And then I draw my individual hair strokes. And you can do these, like you can make, depending on how you draw your hair strokes, you can make your brows look as bushy or as fine as you want to. It's incredibly easy. This product that I am using, this pot that I'm using, this is Tori Bell's The Works Brow Gel. This product is smudge proof, it's waterproof. Once it's on here and you let it sit for just a second, it's not going anywhere. I also love, love, love to use my mascara contour colors. They come in all sorts of different colors. There's a contour color for every single brow color you could possibly want. I really like to use my contours, except for the contours, they're not smudge proof. So if you are gone all day long, if you're somebody who touches your face, don't touch your face. But if you are somebody who touches your face, this smudge proof stuff is freaking amazing. I absolutely love it. I also use this as my eyeliner. It's really good for an eyeliner, for a waterline. It's amazing as a lip liner, all for the same reason. It's smudge proof, it's waterproof, it's not going anywhere. Once it's there and you let it dry for just a second, it's amazing. It's awesome. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching. I'm here to help you. If you want to order anything that you've seen, please let me know. This one is from Glossier's website. Here's their name right there, Glossier. Again, this is the Brow Flick Pencil. I love it. Super, super, super fine tip. It comes in multiple colors. Tori Bell Brow Works also comes in multiple colors. It's waterproof, smudge proof. It's going to last forever. You can use it for your brows. You can use it for your eyeliner. You can use it for your waterline. You can use it as a lip liner. Comes in multiple colors again. Or mascara contour colors, which are also amazing. And then I use my mascara Hotline brush, the single most amazing brow brush there ever possibly was for freaking bomb brows. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and have such an awesome day.